that those in who push, the sort of the winners tell the story, and so, it's not fair that many other stories are suppressed, and it's good. And I've have many Muslim friends that they seek peace, and they're seeking to serve people, and but the media, it's not convenient for it to come out in the media or to come out in the dominant story. So it's good to get some background.
Yeah,
So thank you.
That's right. Yeah, and when you have a question, that's the best way to read anything. Start with a question, and then you're looking for something.
In school, we did history about India, and it was about the rule of the Mughals. The Mughals were the people from Iran who had come to conquer India, and they practically conquered the northern part of India. And they had forcefully converted many of the Hindus to become Muslims. And to this day, you have Muslims who have Hindu surnames, and yet they call themselves Muslims. And one of the worst Mughal ruler was Aurangzeb, where it said that he would cut off the heads of the Hindu believers and dig a trench from his gate going out towards the thing, and they would be buried over there, to let the people know that if they don't become Muslims, this is the fate that they would suffer. Now, this is in the history book now. When we were small in school, this is what we were taught, that thing. But I have known, for instance, in India, we had a business where there was this one man. His name was Saratullah Shah. Now, Shah is a Hindu name. A lot of Gujaratis and other, they have the surname Shah. So, and with him, they are sort of so much into it that they will never call God, they'll never sort of say God or Bhagwan or Ishwar. They will always say Allah. In fact, I used to joke with him. I said, Saratullah, don't you want to worship Bhagwan? He said, no, I want to worship Allah. So this is how they have been more or less sort of indoctrinated, taught, in as far as the thing. So I don't know. This is what we learned in school as far as history was concerned, where the Mughal rule was.
Yeah, over time, it's like religion is like the seasons. It begins with spring, and summer would be the civilization, and then autumn it collapses, and then there's a winter. So we see every condition when you look at the history of any religion.
It does decay. Yep.
Muhammad defended Christians and Jews. Is there, what are the evidences? And if that is true, that is what his teaching is, right? But I don't know, which book did you mention that? I can't remember that.
Oh, it's, that's a theme which is, it's not a controversial thing. Like it was the Jewish tribes in Medina which were arguing amongst themselves, and they heard about Muhammad, and they invited him to come and create peace. So, and the first thing he did was set up the Constitution of Medina, and it was a very strong treaty. And when anyone breached it, which basically put the whole city into danger, then there was a consequence. They'd have to leave the city or something like that. The archaeologists have found that wherever the Arabic invasion went, there was no sign of churches and synagogues being destroyed. They were kept, and the Christians continued to worship. And quite often there'd be two different points to face for worship, one pointing to Jerusalem and the other one pointing to Mecca. So they shared their churches. And then even when it got round to Spain, it was considered to be a very tolerant religion. There's a Baha'i in Sydney who published an article about the tolerance of the Muslims towards the Christians in the Spanish part. Yeah.
Well, that will be interesting. Okay.
And sometimes politicians, they're just looking for power. You know, we see it in modern world, and it was probably the same in the ancient world or throughout the ages, that politicians want to have power. They use division. They grab on any idea to try and mobilize people for them to be in power. And, you know, it's not really, they've sort of distorted ideas, religious ideas, just for their political power and given a wrong understanding and perception of those religious ideas, just for them to have power.
Exactly. It's the leaders of humanity are quite often the biggest blocks towards people recognizing something new.
Can you remind me, in China, we went for that mosque, old mosque, which was built in 656 or 66 in Xi'an?
Yes. Yeah, almost.
So that time itself, there were Muslims there in China.
Yes, almost, I think, 300 years after Muhammad.
Yeah.
This mosque in Xi'an is a great mosque, a big mosque, was built, and there was a lot of cultural and trade activities around the world from Xi'an. Yeah.
In fact, Douglas Martin, the House of Justice, recently passed away this year. He had two tapes on the YouTube. You find that he speaks about the Islamic religion and what effect it had on the Western world because of his teachings of love and unity. And he said there was so much progress. That is why this progress, there was so much of unity and there was no wars or anything for years after that, after they recognized the station of Muhammad. And they didn't become Muslims, but then they practiced all the teachings of Muhammad. And there was so much of love and unity in Europe and the Western world. Beautiful talk by Douglas Martin. It is called the divine plan and recognizing consciousness, something like that.
I don't know whether everyone heard it clearly. Max, you had to summarize what he said.
What I was going to say was that.
No, he said absolutely to summarize what I said.
Okay.
Douglas Martin.
She's talking about Douglas Martin, former member of the Universal House of Justice, that he has given a talk on Islam, which is on YouTube. So I think I would like to listen to.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, what I want to say is that the true meaning of jihad has been so distorted today that when Iran and Iraq were fighting, both of them declared it a holy war. The Muslims were fighting Muslims. Where was the question of holy war? In fact, in Iran, they used to give a plastic key to the soldiers who would go to battle, saying that when you die, you can open the gates of heaven with this key. And people will gladly go to lay down their lives. So this is where the whole thing has been distorted, and they've been promised that if you die in a holy war, there are 72 virgins waiting for you. Now, where is that thing? In fact, there was a joke. They said, what if these virgins are men?
Yes.
So this is where the whole concept of jihad has been so distorted. It's lost its true meaning. Muhammad called it jihad because the Muslims were defending themselves. They were being attacked by the barbarians and they were defending themselves. And he said, this is a holy war because you're defending Islam. And if anybody who dies in it is a martyr. But when you have two Muslims killing each other, where does the defense come?
So I think the God and his, I mean, this is my understanding, God and his manifestations of God, those the teachings are pure and valid for the time. How people interpreted
That's the problem.
and act on it, that is where the variation comes. And so as truth seekers, we have to give the allowance or separate these two. And if I behave in a manner that is not conducive for unity or peace or a good society, any unbiased observer should not cast doubt on Baha'i faith, though I claim to be a Baha'i.
Mm.
So I think anyone, I mean, Colin is rightfully trying to defend in a way that currently worldwide Islam and the Muslims, innocent Muslims, are persecuted and put in a dark side. And it is not fair, it is not just. So we have a moral duty to investigate what is true. And if we find that that is true, then to defend what is true. Any other comments or questions?
So that one of the doctors, the psychologist that presented, and he was talking about how he's a Muslim, but he was talking about how peaceful, what is his name? I can't remember, how peaceful the religion is and they accept all the religions. And
yes, in one of our devotional meetings, a psychiatrist here in Sydney, his name is Dr. Reyes. Yeah, he mentioned that the religion as such is peaceful, but they have
I think Father was there, Father Jagasodi was at that prayer meeting now.
Probably, yes.
Yes.
May I just interrupt you, please? Like I told you earlier, 8:30 we have other devotional meetings. So Gold and I will take your leave. Colin, thank you very much. It was a very informative
Thank you
thing.
so much.
And hopefully we should be there every week with you all. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And it's nice meeting all of you all.
Lovely meeting you.
Thanks, Carl.
We didn't know that you have done so much of research into Islam. And
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
See
you
you.
very
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Could I say something? Colin, I
mentioned that in the Baha'i writings, the holy war is blotted out. So does it mean that holy war is not a good thing? And what was that holy war referred to? Is that the same as what is referred to in the Quran as jihad?
So that's my next research question, because I can see the point you're making. If holy war has two meanings, it's the inner struggle and it's an outer struggle. In Islam, to my understanding, it's the same inner struggle that all human beings have. The outer struggle was for that time to struggle for their survival and protection of the principle of religious freedom. So in other words, self-defense. Now, what was Baha'u'llah abrogating? Was he abrogating in a struggle? No, of course not. So what he was abrogating is the use of violence to defend ourselves. So what did he replace it with? If we can't defend ourselves, he's given us a system of collective security.
Mhm. Thank you.
All come together when there's a threat. So instead of half the world against half the world will one day, we believe, when we all work on ourselves and there's transformation, there'll be a world where we're united, and when we see one individual gathering a following and starting attacking, then the whole world will just say, stop that. and they will. It won't be half the world against half the world like it is now. Really,
Yes, sure.
it's to me, it's a key for overcoming religious prejudice. And religious prejudice is out of all the prejudices, most thinking people no longer believe in racism or that men are superior to women or etc. But a lot of thinking people still have a religious prejudice. Where's the, yeah. And this Manickji Sahib, he was a Zoroastrian. He asked some questions about religions, and Baha'u'llah replied with this answer. And then Manickji Sahib wrote again and said, "You didn't answer my question." and Baha'u'llah didn't want to hurt his feelings. He got a friend to tell him that if he looks more carefully, he'll see that the answer was there. And this is the quote. The all-knowing physician hath his finger on the pulse of mankind. He perceiveth the disease, and prescribeth in his unerring wisdom the remedy. Every age hath its own problem, and every soul its particular aspiration. The remedy the world needeth in its present day afflictions can never be the same as that which a subsequent age may require. Be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age ye live in, and centre your deliberations on its exigencies and requirements. So it's interesting. So when my Catholic theologian friend was comparing the New Testament to the Quran, they were different situations. It probably would have been more comparable to compare the Old Testament with the Quran because of the condition of the people and the need for discipline and to improve their condition. That's just my thought. Anyway, and now the world is in a totally new situation where it's possible to see the world as one, and that needs a whole new set of relationships between individuals, community, institutions, and the way we see other people.